Hey everybody, welcome back to Coached by Coaches. And today we are going to talk to two great Tom Ferry coaches and just kind of find out their styles, what they think about coaching, what they find their clients going through, what is it that makes them the right coach for you. So I'm so happy to have Jeff here today and Dan. Let's just go around and other people may join us throughout the call. What is your avatar coaching client? And let's start with Jeff.
Start with me. All right. Well, hey, Bob, appreciate you allowing me to be here. This is great. So my avatar of a coaching client, it'd be someone that wants to get business at a high level through strategic conversations, whether that's inbound conversion, that's outbound conversion, high profitability business, something that, tried and true at a low cost to get into, but done at a high level, and they're going to come out on top.
Okay. Give me two more sentences that mean that, because I think I understand, but I want to be sure.
Sure. So I like working with a lot of newer agents because I was a new agent and we all were at one time, and sharing the skills and passion of what I did to have success. I did about 40 homes my first year in real estate, how to bypass a lot of the what should I do, what works, what conversations don't, and just here's what works, go do it. Don't make the mistakes I've made. And then I love working with agents that are slowly growing a team because I've been a part of teams, I've had a team, and then implementing what are the systems and structures that should be in place to make things run more efficient. How should I be prepared when I hire a VA? What should I know before something like that happens, and so forth. So those are examples of two different clients that I find work really well with me in the coaching that I provide.
Excellent. And how long have you been a coach?
Coming up on 2 years.
Okay. Seems
Yeah.
like a long time.
Yeah.
Seems
I
like
feel
much
like I've
longer.
been a coach prior, but for Tom Ferry, about 2 years.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, Dan, tell everybody a little bit about yourself too.
Sure. Well, my name's Dan. I'm actually from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Have been working in real estate since 2013. I run a small team of my own. I'm still in full-time production. And then when I think about the avatar of the coaching client that I love to work with, similar to Jeff, it's newer agents. People that don't have those bad habits and people that are just excited and really just hungry to make something work for themselves. Similar to Jeff, I was on a team before. I've run a team. I've got that kind of figured out in terms of how to really leverage out your admin so that your business can thrive, but you're not being bogged down by a lot of the nitty-gritty details of the day-to-day. Agents that also understand that this is a business where it's the long game, right? Instantaneous money and sales aren't necessarily going to happen overnight for everybody. So people that are willing to understand that it could take 3, 6, 9 months to really lay out the groundwork, to get your SOPs in place, to create follow-up systems, even if you've never followed up once in your life with a client, just being able to take the advice of the ecosystem plus the coach to just really develop those systems and have a really strong foundation in place for them to launch themselves into a really cool business.
Excellent. Excellent. So this gives this so people understand who people are and why you're here. I tell people how you got into coaching. I got into coaching in 2015 because I had been running my team for 5 years, and we did the same year 5 years in a row. Our number of transactions were literally like, 38, 39, 36, 30, oh, no, I'm sorry, 50, 56, 58. We were in the 50 range. So there were 3 of us agents and then 2 peripheral agents. We had orbitals, but there were 3 core central agents, and we did the same year over and over. And I went to a Tom Ferry event and in Frisco, and I walked in with the idea that I'm not going to buy this. I'm just going to write down every idea and run out the door. And on the third day, he did this self-visualization exercise where he turns the lights down and you think about yourself in the future. And it's this 20, 30-minute long, beautiful session that he does. And you literally project where he wanted to be in 10 or 20 years. And at the end of that session, I was in tears because I knew what I wanted suddenly, because it kind of let your brain go. And I went to the back of the room and I gave them my credit card and I'm like, I think you can charge me. Let's see if Visa loves me this side, let's see what happens here. And it worked. And I've now doubled my company 3 different ways. And I think I've just signed my 10th renewal. I think I just signed up for my 9th or my 10th renewal. I do this because I believe in it and it's changed my life. How did each of you get into coaching? What's your story? And how did you get to be where you are today? And we'll flip the order. We'll go Dan first.
So I started in Tom Ferry Coaching in January of 2018. And I had been following Tom. So that was about 4 years into the business. And I'd watched Tom on social media and what he was teaching and sharing and everything I was starting to implement into my business, and realized I wasn't going to get the support locally with the brokerage I was with. So I ventured out to an event out in LA all by myself. And the first day was really good. And then I went back to the coaches table where I met my very first coach, Catherine. And I just told her that I'm told back home this is a crock. Tell me why it's not. And I had that Midwest skepticism ready to go. And she actually stopped and said, well, I'm not going to tell you how this works. What do you want to do with your life? That question really got me thinking so much more differently about what coaching could be. And so I decided at that moment, I was like, fine, if you can coach me, I'm in. And that's how I jumped into this 6 years ago. And then I've been a coach for just under a year now myself. And part of that was with Catherine. She got me to this place of confidence that I had never really achieved on my own. And I've actually made that part of my approach to coaching and just running a business too, is my job is to be your biggest supporter, challenger, but also my job is to get you to a place of confidence so you can create the super cool business. I can never take credit for anyone's success. And that's something I learned early on. And that's what's really pushed me to stay in the ecosystem, as well as become a coach for Tom.
Excellent, excellent. Jeff. Jeff, are you there? I think we locked up for a
Yeah,
second.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Are you there? Okay. I don't know. That was weird. Yeah. So my story is it's different. I've never been a Tom Ferry coaching client in the past. I've never been a Tom Ferry coach up until April of about 2022. I've had just about every other coach you can think of in the industry when I got into it back in 2016. So I wanted to eventually become a coach just because I had a passion and love for giving back to other agents that I worked with, a few different big brokerages here in Kansas City. And I just really loved it, seeing their success along the way. So I knew at some point in the future, this is what I like to do, a lot more than just helping people buy and sell homes directly. So in 2022, I sent a cold email into Tom Ferry saying, what does it take to be a coach? And went through the requirements at the time. Fortunately, was able to pass those, and then came out the other side being a Tom Ferry coach. One of the things that stood out to me with Tom Ferry, though, amongst the other coaches, is just how long he's been a coach in the real estate industry. There's a lot of coaches that I can think of that I've had in the past that have, coached for a couple of years, then they're gone, and just, not really who maybe I thought they were at the time. But Tom definitely is. So his platform, what he does, it's a lot of goodness. So that's my story.
So who would you not be a good coach for? For me, if you need somebody to bark and yell at you every week to get your shit done, I'm not a drill sergeant coach. I'm not that toxic masculine sort of get in your face sort of person. I'm also not the right person to read your P&L. I am not the right person to take your QuickBooks and shape it up. I'm great at social and advertising and websites and all this other stuff. But if you need that, I need to give you to somebody else because that's just not my bailiwick. What would make the wrong fit for you as a coach?
For me, it'd be someone that
His internet is having fun with him today. Dan, do you want to jump in?
skills within it, but at an extremely high level, that wouldn't be maybe the best fit for me. Kind of as you alluded to, Bob, P&L, I am
You're
not sure
breaking
if
up in the
something.
middle of that. Why don't you start that one over?
Okay, I don't know what's going on. This is weird. What I was saying though is who would not be the right fit would be someone wanting to do social media at a very advanced level, very high in the weeds level. I have good basic and intermediate understanding of it, but someone that really wants to get into the true weeds within tracking and a little bit like you mentioned, something that you do that I just know because of who you are is SEO. That's not my forte. I'm definitely going to recommend you. And P&L, I can do it. It's not maybe my favorite, most important thing that I like to focus on. It's really just going to be, hey, how do I get business now consistent, predictably, with conversations? Let's take it from online to offline and lock it down from there.
Interesting. I love that. And you brought up conversation several times. You're kind of the quiet social ninja,
Yeah, my social is all about action. So a lot of the social that I post is me doing the work.
No, I don't mean social posting. I mean like in
Um,
person, the conversations. You're the sit
mhm.
down over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and seal the deal that way, if I'm hearing right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Interesting. Interesting. Dan, same question without the internet script.
I guess the not ideal client for me would be someone that wants instantaneous results, someone that expects that coaching is this magic solution to all of your woes, because it's not. I think that would be the hardest part for me. Super analytical people, like spreadsheets and things, much like you, Bob, not my forte. That is not my world. Similar to Jeff, I'm very social. If people want to learn to run a business based on relationships and go 10, 15, 20 referrals deep on one person, I got that. You want to run a gigantic team with a Zillow Flex account and online leads and all of this, it's probably not the best fit for me. The beauty of the Tom Ferry ecosystem, though, and the coaching ecosystem is we have people to lean on where if our client needs a little more than what we can give, we can always reach out and get the help. I think that's also what's important is even though there are not ideal clients, it doesn't mean that we can't coach all of them.
Right.
Just means we probably shouldn't.
Right. And it's got to be a good fit organically between the coach and the client. If either side feels like, hey, this just is not jiving, then bless and release and move on. And I've done that. I think I cried to my coach's coach at the time about, oh my God, I had a transfer. And it was the right person. It was the right time for that person to move on. And I've now grown as a coach to be like, hey, I already feel this is not going in the direction it would be not beneficial for you to do this. So exactly to your point, we know enough of the other coaches. There's 150 or some odd Tom Ferry coaches right now. And part of what I love is hanging out with each of you because I get to learn new things about you and myself at the same time. So I know if somebody needs X, Y, or Z, who might be a good coach to send them to. And it may just be sending them to them for an hour or so to get that fixed up. Or it could be, hey, we need to move you on over to there and let you grow and learn. So absolutely everything you both said. What's something you see every client screw themselves up on? I find that people forget their time blocking as soon as they get busy. And time and money are our two biggest things, and they give up their time block and then wonder why their all their SOPs and everything fell apart. What do you see people do almost every client? You're like, ah.
Dan?
Time blocking, just same as what you just said. They don't run their life by a schedule. And even if they have a schedule, guilty myself, you don't really build in like your own personal time. And then what we tend to do is we run ourselves ragged, we get burnt out, and then all of a sudden we're exhausted and we're not showing up how we should, not even just for our clients. But I think Jeff and Bob, you both said like just being in this ecosystem, you become a better human, right? I'm a better husband, I'm a better friend, brother, boss, agent. I'm better overall. Part of that though is that time blocking, and that's the biggest mistake I see people make, and they just kind of try to fly by the seat of their pants with no plans, no systems, no structure. And again, that's that first 3 to 6, 9 months is just getting it ready.
Getting them used to the idea that they want to change and let's change. Yeah.
And that it takes the time. That's the other, say the second biggest thing is they just expect it to be instantaneous. That you have one coaching call and magically you're going to go sell 5 homes. That's just not, that's not the market we're in anymore. This is a skills-based market to hone your skills. And one of the biggest skills you can have is time blocking.
Right. Right. Yeah, I tell people like, oh, I sent one postcard, I didn't get any listings. Well, okay. If I do one sit up, do I get abs? Because I set up in bed this morning. By the end of the week, I should be ripped, right? I should have set up 7 times. I should have 7 ripples and abs. And apparently you have to do something called reps, which I don't do. So I don't have abs. Sending one postcard, signing up for one coaching session, doing one of anything is not going to get you there. Jeff, same question.
Asking for the appointment. People don't do it.
Oh.
They don't ask for the appointment. Whether they're uncomfortable, they're just not picking up on, like, ask them. Like, you're just not aware of it. I don't know what it is, but they're not asking for the appointment. In addition to time blocking, I definitely agree. But that's what I say people are getting screwed up on.
So how do you get people over that?
I stress it. You know, I give situations, I role play, and I say, look, here's an example when you door knock. Here's what's going on, but here's how to advance it to ask for the appointment. It's not just about letting them know that you're a real estate agent. It's, you know, being able to pick up. So, for example, if I door knocked, who I am, where I'm from, why the heck I'm at your door. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Cohen. I'm a local real estate agent with XYZ Real Estate here in Kansas City. And I'm not sure if you know, but with the real estate market and how it is and the impact in Misty Meadows South, home prices up about 3.2% year over year. Would you want to know what that means for you and your house? They could say, well, I guess kind of. I mean, is it good or bad? And, you know, go into it by wanting to offer a CMA of some sort. But the strategy within it would be offering the CMA. So, yeah, you know what? I'd be happy to give you what's called a home equity report. How familiar with what that is? I don't know. Okay, great. Well, it's something that's going to give you an idea of how much equity you have in your house. What I'd love to do is I can, you know, come back by later this week and drop it off. I can also send it to you electronically. If I sent it electronically, what's a good email address? Now I'm getting your email. And, you know, while I'm doing the research, I want to make sure I do a really good job for you. If I have any questions that come up, what's a good phone number for me to call you at? Now I've got their phone number. And by the way, forgive me, I didn't even ask. My name is Jeff Cohen, your name. Now I got their name. And then I can go in, well, while I'm talking to you, is there anything unique that I should know about your house that I'm not going to see online? Did you install a swimming pool? Did you finish the basement? I'll be done with this in a second, Bob. But from
No,
there,
keep going. This is great. I'm loving this.
What I mean by asking for the appointment, it's coming up here. So, you know, so time out for a moment. So far, I've got everything to give them the CMA. I've got permission to come back by Thursday and drop it off. But what I mean by asking for, like a lot of agents can stop there. But this is what I mean asking for the appointment. They're conversing, they're engaged. So let's keep going with this. So I'm asking them, is there anything unique that I should know about the house now that I'm not going to see online? And they say, no, you'll see the pictures. It looks the same. Okay. And may I ask, how long have you lived in this house for? They'll say, okay, 10 years. Wow, 10 years. Okay. Where did you move from before to Misty Meadows South here? We moved from Austin, Texas to be here in Kansas City. Awesome. What took you here? Small talk for a moment. Friends, family. Okay, cool. Hey, do you ever see yourself moving back to Austin, Texas? Or would you say you're in your dream perfect forever house right now. Either or close. Now
Gotcha.
I'm going to go right further into that conversation. And now I'm going to find out if they're, well, it's not really our dream house. We would maybe move somewhere else. Then you're going to go into a much deeper conversation where you can ask for the appointment, forget about the CMA being emailed to them, go for the in-person appointment to really do a good job and go from there.
Well, but okay, I'm gonna role play here with you. But Coach, that sounds easy when you say it, but I just can't do that. I don't want to
With
seem
that,
salesy.
what about it seems salesy with how it was
Well,
delivered?
it just seems people around here don't do that. That seems really pushy.
Let me ask you, what's been your experience delivering exactly that type of script with people in the past?
Well, I really haven't done it because I just don't want to, I don't want to seem like that sort of a salesperson.
Okay, I understand not wanting to seem like a salesy person. Would you admit how that was delivered? It didn't come across salesy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
I get those
so
resistance points, and that's why I was like, I'm gonna see what you do with this.
you're
Yeah.
giving me a good test here, so anyone watching this can see.
But no, it's I get that I don't want to seem salesy reason. And maybe Dan, you've heard this too, I'm sure. Anytime we're talking about making calls or making, making your outreach, this is not $1,000 pager, this is $1,000 phone. And it goes up to your ear and you talk into it, and people seem to think that's rude now. What do you do when you get that I don't want to seem salesy line? And it can be applied to your door knocking scenario, which by the way, that was lovely. That was wonderful to watch you do that. What do you do with people who are like, I don't want to be a salesperson?
Ask them what their job title is. You're a real estate salesperson. You're not a real estate talker. You're not a real estate think about it. You're a real estate salesperson. That's your job.
You studied and you took a test that says salesperson. James
Mm-hmm.
Bond has a license to kill. You have a license to sell. Her Majesty says, go do it in her name. Let's
See,
go.
what I run into is it's not just they don't want to be salesy. They don't feel like they know enough. Because again, I love working with newer agents. So what I do, I just break it down to the ridiculous. It's okay, well, did you take a class or did the home seller take a class? Did you finish your education and get the license? Sure. Did they? No. You just by default are the expert. Doesn't matter if you've never sold a home. Doesn't matter if you've never shown a home. On paper, you're the expert. If that's just a little bit of confidence you need to make the call, to knock on the door, to have a conversation, to ask for the appointment, just remind yourself, you passed a damn test and it says you can do it.
Love it. Jeff, anything you want to add to that?
No, that was a perfect answer. That's what I was going to say, Dan. That's why it was a perfect answer.
Yeah.
What's your license? What's your license say? It says salesperson. It doesn't say helper. It doesn't say Sherpa. It doesn't say navigator. It says salesperson. And besides, like you have to go ask for the business. You could do it how you think is salesy, or you can say, well, that doesn't fit the way I want to do it. Let's figure out a way that you would feel comfortable still asking for the business.
Well, and I think also we got to get out of the mindset of sales. We're in the mindset of service. I'm here to show you things that could help you build wealth. I've got several friends who bought and sold with me multiple times, and every time they bought up and did well and bought up and did well. And they're now doing quite well financially because I helped them. So I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to show you how to handle your largest financial transaction generally and to protect your interests. I'm here to serve that. And so I try to approach from the position of what can I do for you, not what can I sell you. And I think people undervalue themselves in that regard, so they don't feel confident representing themselves in that way. Just my thought. And
Yeah,
you can't teach confidence. I don't know that you can teach confidence.
I don't think you can teach it, but you can show somebody what they're capable of, right? To the point of what Catherine Farrell did for me was that person always existed. With the noise, though, of good Midwest skepticism, I didn't think I could do much. I didn't think that I was worth it. I didn't think I was going to ever be as successful as I am. It took someone else to draw that out of me. It's kind of like the whole adage, right? You can't really teach leadership. People are either born leaders or they're not. It's about helping those individuals see what they're actually capable of and then kind of pushing them towards that. And that's my big approach. It's not so much, accountability. Accountability by nature has negative connotations. But if I ask you, how can I help hold you capable this week? That to me is a much more powerful question, because it's your skills, your abilities, not someone else's expectations.
How can I hold you capable this week?
Because if you want to go
You're-
door knock and you're capable of going outside, knocking on a door, then how can I hold you capable to that? I'm not going to hold you accountable. You can only be accountable to yourself, no one else. So you
Gotcha.
either live your dream or don't.
Question for you, because we're going to go deep on. Jeff, did you want to jump on that, or can we?
No, I like where it's going.
You've mentioned Midwest skepticism multiple times. You didn't invent that. That's a part of your heritage. What I find, especially with some of my female clients, is their heritage teaches them not to shine out, not to boast, not to be better than, not to keep your awards. I had one client who every time she won a sales award, she threw it away because she didn't want to look, too big for her britches in a man's world. How do you overcome those tapes that are tracks in our heads that our parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents put there to keep us safe in their world? And we have to bust them and go on to our world. How do we educate around that? Because I'm always about trying to unlock those tapes and erase them.
I mean, it could be the simple question of, are you happy with where your life is now? Is this exactly where you want to be for the rest of your life? If it is, then do what mom, dad, grandma, grandpa do and say, that's fine. But do you want to break beyond that? Do you want to live a life that you never could have thought of? Make more money than you ever thought capable, be more secure, more comfortable, and more stable? Then you have to change the lens in which you see the world. And fun fact, don't say you don't have an ego. You got into real estate. Most of us name our teams after ourselves. So you have an ego, and it's okay to have ego, but you're either going to be comfortable living the life you've always lived, or you want something bigger and better. And if that's the case, change the lens in which you see the world.
Love that. Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it's just mindset. Are you happy where you're at, or you want to be in a different spot? You're gonna have to do something different.
Okay. Yeah, I find this, not to pick on the ladies in my life, but I find that we have, as a society, trained them not to try to push outside of their boundaries. And I'm all about just screw that. Go take on the world.
Well, and what's bonkers about that, though, this is a female-dominated industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they outnumber men. Beyond that, you've got the single largest group of people that are buying homes are single women.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be a way to just empower people to understand that just because you're proud of yourself and just because you did something really cool, that doesn't mean you think that you're better than other people. You're going to celebrate your achievements, right? Your chapter
Right.
1 and my chapter 10 are totally different stories. Or we could both be at chapter 1, but our journeys and our stories that we're going to write and develop through our careers are completely different.
Right.
Where I get excited to celebrate certain things, other people don't, right? I'm not, in terms of an agent and the way I run my team, I'm not a transactions person. I'm not bragging about how many transactions I had. I'd rather talk about the relationships that I've had and the referrals I've gotten from those relationships, and that I actually know every single one of my clients and I know their personal lives. They're not just file number 37, file number 100. It is so and so and so and so buying at this place, due this date, getting married this date, doing this. That's the important part. But, everyone does it different.
There's that famous scene from Erin Brockovich, the movie, where they're going through the list of clients and she has every client's name, phone number, and everything memorized. You should make a spoof of that where you know all your clients' name, their phone numbers, what size of house, and when they're looking, and their child's name and phone number. It'd be great. You could
No,
rock.
I mean, that's how I pride myself. But like I mentioned, I worked on a team, their transaction, turn and burn, Zillow team. It's cool. I got a lot of cool skills from it. The biggest takeaway I have from that, though, is when you're running on a team like that, you're not building skills. You're building maybe some scripting skills and maybe some conversion skills. They don't care about that. It's just get them in the door, get the contract signed, move on to the next, and then don't ever look back. It's just not a way that I like to run a business. So, kind of opposite of what our ideal not client is. That
Mhm.
ideal client, again, is someone that wants to build a cool relationship-based business. I got that. But
There are so many examples in this industry of things you don't want to emulate. Before I opened my brokerage, I worked at a fee-based brokerage, nothing against fee-based, but they were fee-based. And they did not care about training or anything else. They just wanted to have 300 to 500 agents paying them $100 a month to work there. They didn't even care if you had a transaction. And I learned as a broker, I wanted to be engaged with my people and know what they're up to. There was one situation at that brokerage where the news, cameras came and knocked on the door. And this is back in Texas when we all had to start getting fingerprinted, probably about 15 years ago. When we renewed, we had to get fingerprinted. And then the news camera showed up on the front door. Did you know Sam Smith, your agent, showed up in a murder investigation from 20 years ago? Can you tell us about him? And they put the microphone in the broker's face, and he's like, I don't know him. He just sends me a check each month. I want to know my people. I want to be like, oh yeah, I bet she did that. I want to know my people and know what they're up to. I don't want to be the broker standing there going, oh, it's just a name and a file. I don't know how they built their business and what they're doing. So anyway, and a funny story, but it's like that sort of thing taught me what I don't want to do as a broker and as a team lead. I want to be able to say like, yeah, that seems just like her. Yeah, that's going to be, you got it right. So what is your inspiration? Last question here. What's your inspiration? Are you avid readers? Do you follow music? Would you follow podcasts? Where do you fill up your cup so that then you can go back and talk to your clients?
Yeah, I'd say I'm really big on podcasts, YouTube, just educational books about sales, about business in general. What I like is just learning from other sales leaders of how you can apply that into the real estate conversation. For example, Chris Voss, ex-FBI negotiator, his book came out, several years back, and reading through that and learning what could you take from his line of work that you can incorporate in real estate and how you practice. And I've done that with several, and I love it. It's really cool. So it gets me fired up learning more about what's working in other industries, different tactics, different phrases, things like that, and how could I do it? How could I apply that here with what I'm doing in real estate?
Okay. Any podcast specifically that you're like, or book that you're like stuck on? Like, oh my God, this one every year, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Really, I do follow a lot of Chris Voss's stuff on YouTube because I like a lot of the stuff I'm really big on is you have to hear it, like tonality and pacing and how it's delivered. It's one thing when you read a book when it has it in it. It's another when you actually get to hear it, whether it's visually watching it or just listening to it. So a lot of his stuff, I'd suggest and recommend checking out.
Cool. Dan?
So I listen to a lot of murder podcasts, so it's not really like motivating. It's how I decompress though. But in terms of just inspiration, within producing business, but also on the coaching side, quarterly I listen to the Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. I listen to You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. I listen to The Go-Giver, and I listen to The Secret. Those are the 4 books I listen to every single quarter. Mostly just as a reminder, and then like once or twice a year, I'll read either like The Slight Edge or I'll read Atomic Habits or the 5-Second Rule. For business stuff, I'm more motivated though by the change that I can have in the world. So I look at it more as if I work harder, get better at my skills, I can do more with people. In particular, for me, the biggest inspiration is foster care. It's foster care and taking care of kids that aren't necessarily getting the care that they need. I mean, that's what lights my fire, fills my cup, keeps me going every single day of the year. You know, and I like to understand that about people as well. It's not just how much money do you want to make, how many homes do you want to sell, it's but what? Like, what is this all going to do for you? Right? Because, you know, I tell people all the time, I could make billions, but if I don't have my own kid or a couple of just random little foster kids to leave a better world for, there is no real reason to get up and move. So I like to just figure out what absolutely just gets people going. So I don't know if that really answered your question.
It makes perfect sense. I phrase it differently, but similar. What's your North Star? What's that thing you're aiming for? For you, it's kids.
Yep.
What's that thing that you're, even on the cloudiest day when you feel like absolute crap and you don't want to move, you know that star is still in the sky, even though you can't see it, and you're still marching towards it. What is your North Star? What is that thing that draws you so far forward? And that's finding that in it's never real estate. Real estate is the method that pays for the thing that gets us to the North Star. I've almost met nobody who's like, I want to acquire all the land in the world. You know, this is not a Monopoly game, you know. So what is the North Star moment for each client? What is it that you have to go for? And that, once you figure that out, everything else, you'll go door knock, you'll go make the calls, you'll go lick the stamps and meet the people and have that extra party and go to that extra social, because it gets you to adoption, or it gets you to moving to where you want to live, or gets you to whatever it is, your kid's college. What's your North Star? Because that's really what we're working for. That's really what we're up against. Anyway, anything y'all want to end on? It's rare to see two coaches quiet.
I just appreciate, no, I just appreciate the opportunity. I mean, you know, Tom Ferry ecosystem is phenomenal. Just the referrals, the opportunity of who you get to meet and network. I mean, I wouldn't have met you, Bob, without being in it. Same for you, Dan. You know, it's just who you're able to meet. It's really impressive. It's something that I think is very underrated. Just the connections and network just in itself.
Yeah.
No, I echo that. I appreciate the opportunity just to talk more about coaching, but also why we do what we do. And it's a nice way to just kind of give people a peek behind the curtain, sort of who are the coaches. And each of us is here for a different reason, but mostly it's the Tom Ferry ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
It's what it draws us in and it keeps us here. And I mean, if we didn't believe in it, we wouldn't be coaches.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, come back next month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
see you then.
Bye, guys.
Bye.